Hello everybody and welcome to the Fate of the Phoenix, the brand new DLC released by Paradox effectively a day ago by the time that this video is going to be coming out. My friends, I actually kind of like this DLC, but rather than go through the same motions of, oh, look at me, I'm playing the Byzantines and I took over all of Anatolia, which I'm sure that you've probably seen 100 times now from other YouTubers. I know, it gets tiresome, especially since they're effectively doing the same thing every single time. I will not be doing that. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be talking about the one thing that I really love about this DLC. Something I love more than anything else. I'm going to be talking about the Bureaucracies. Oh my, yes, these are truly fantastic. And the reason why I say that is they actually kind of feel a lot like the old bonuses from Europa Universalis 4, and I would love to see more of these with a bunch of different types for a bunch of different countries out there. This is something that I think would definitely save Europa Universalis 5, and that is why I decided for my video, I'm going to rank these in a tier list. Yes, my friends, we are doing a tier list video. I know, it has been a while. Take a look at what we got here. Isn't she lovely? That's what we're going to be working with here. We got the S tier, what I think are going to be the meta picks, all the way down to the F tier, which I think are going to be the really awful picks. And just so you know, I'm very serious. I actually made a bunch of icons for every single one of them based off of the icons that you actually get in the game. Take a look here. You see those right there? Yeah, that right there is what we're working with, people. Now, let's get into it. How about that? Hello everybody, I'm gonna have to start off by stating I'm gonna probably get the pronunciation of these words wrong. I'm sorry, they're Greek, they're Latin, I don't speak either of these languages and I have nobody to coach me, so I can only really use Google, and Google is not particularly good at this. So if I pronounce Allelengyon incorrectly, yeah, please don't crucify me for this, yeah. Okay, at the same time, we're going to be talking about positive modifiers, which is effectively something that is going to be based off of your percentage slider here. It is something that changes based off of your percentage slider. If you're at 100%, you get 100% of it. If you're at 20%, you only get about 20% of it, etc., etc. Then we're going to be talking about the constant modifiers, which are effectively unchanged no matter what the percentage slider is. And then we're going to be talking about the negative modifiers, which are effectively modifiers that are a freaking penalty if you decide to try to save money, which is, you know, a naughty thing to do. Don't do that unless you're like me and you like to save money for, you know, specific instances where you want to either not go bankrupt, not have to take out debt, not have to, you know, just be able to get that extra building out in time. I do like to minimize, maximize, but here's the thing. Allelengyon is not one of those ones that you're going to want to minimize, maximize, because the penalty is monthly development, and if you take that penalty, I think you're crazy. Allelengyon is one that you're going to have to run at 100% all the time. Why? Because it's a 10% monthly prosperity, and that is flippin' fantastic. This right here alone makes Allelengyon S tier. Yes, the monthly development really drags it down. Maybe it should be an A tier. And I mean, the constants kind of suck. I'm sorry. Peasant enfranchisement, you get that effectively from privileges no matter what you do anyways. A lot of the good privileges have that peasant enfranchisement on there. So it's not a big deal to get that. And I really don't pay that much attention to estate enrichment. I actually kind of like a few of my estates being super duper wealthy because then they do building for me. That's why I like it when my nobles, my peasants, and my astoi, or I guess in this case the burghers, have a large amount of money saved up, because then they do the road building and they do the basic RGO building for me. I don't hate them having a little bit of money. I would like to prevent them from having too much money, which causes them to have too much power. But again, estate enrichment is a nothing burger to me. But that's fine because monthly prosperity is S tier. There is no question in my mind. We're going to take Allelengyon and we're going to move it up into the lovely tier list here. Bring the tier list up. There we go. Boom. Just like that. S tier. If anybody questions it, I question them. I love prosperity. Is it really a tier list if there's not a little bit of controversy involved? Here is one that might end up being a little controversial for a few people. Books of the Basilika, believe it or not, in my books is not that powerful. In the early game, I would in fact consider it A tier. Why? Because it does reduce the estate power, which is something that you're definitely going to need. It is one that you're probably going to want to fund as soon as possible in the early game as the Byzantines, and the reason why is because you need that to keep the nobles in check. However, another bonus to the Books of the Basilika is when you're done giving a crud about the estate power, you can zero it out and still get the full bonus from the tax efficiency. You still get 5% tax efficiency. You can ignore it at that point. You don't have to pay anything for it. You get the 5% tax efficiency. That's really, really lovely. There's just one problem. The power that it has denigrates as time goes on. As you get into the mid-game, you're not going to have as much money with, not have as much problems with money. You're not going to have that much problems with getting crown power and the Dynatoi under control. You're going to eventually be able to balance things out so much that this becomes completely moot, and it becomes a very, very weak situational pick. I will give it credit for the early game. Unfortunately, at that point, all that does is prevent it from ending up in the D tier. That's it. For me, it is a very weak situational pick. I want to give it a little bit more love for that fact, the fact that you can actually kind of reduce the overall cost, but simply by doing that alone, I don't think that's enough to really make up for the fact that it is, unfortunately, just overshadowed by far, far better picks. And that is why I have to put the Books of the Basilika in the C tier. I can't give it anything higher. Here we go. This is going to be a bit of an interesting one. You see, Court Eunuchs has a very weird mechanic to it, which is kind of interesting if you think about it. And the main mechanic that I'm talking about is the fact that you can hire eunuch courtiers, which actually help out quite a bit. You have a 10 to 100% chance to hire a eunuch character with higher average abilities, which is kind of nice. There's just one tiny problem with eunuchs is, they're eunuchs. They can't actually have kids. You can't marry them off. You can't get a bunch of children. You can't get a bunch of prodigies out of them like you can with the other guys. You can't marry them off to your daughters and have them have an entire noble line at that point. You can't do anything like that. So eunuchs are kind of like a one and done type thing. It is interesting to have, especially since Court Eunuchs, you could go all the way down to 0, and the worst thing that's going to happen to you is a plus 25% stability decay. Not the end of the world. It is kind of bad, but it's not like, mind-numbingly bad, especially since the other bonuses are meh, they're mid. Monthly literacy at 0.1% or 0.01% is not the end-all be-all of bonuses, and the 10% education of heirs is something you could turn on temporarily when you have an heir that you actually care about, that you want to kind of maximize as much as humanly possible, and that kind of makes this a very situational pick. But here's the thing, I think that's actually kind of strong. A 10% education of heirs that you could turn on and off at your leisure is kind of powerful if you use it correctly. Not to mention you get the eunuchs on top of it. Not the end of the world if you are at 0 and you take the stability decay. And again, when you need it, when those lovely heirs are coming out and you're like, oh my gosh, I need this guy to maximize his skills as much as possible. Yeah, 10% actually does kind of make a difference. That can be the difference between a 90 and a 99. Okay? So again, that can actually be powerful if used correctly. And like I said before, you don't have to pay for it. So I'm going to put this lovely, lovely Court Eunuchs in B tier. Let's see here. Where is Court Eunuchs? Click, copy, and paste. We're going to bring up the tier list and da-dow. Where are you going? Right there. B tier, just like that. Is it a must pick? No. Is it a good pick? Depends on your situation. Alright, the next one's going to be a bit of a boring but somewhat powerful one, and the reason why I say somewhat powerful is because it depends on the situation that you're at. You can run it at 0%, you can run it at 100%. It's nice to have, regardless of what you do. Personally, for this one, I would run it at 100% all the time, and the reason why is because you get a lovely estate satisfaction equilibrium bonus from 2.5% baseline, pretty much all the way up to, maybe 5% with 100% entrenchment. It's actually kind of powerful, depending on your situation. More taxes are always generally good unless you're running at pretty much maximized taxes. For people who like to maximize the amount of taxes they can get from nobles, this one is probably S tier. For everybody else, it's probably B tier. I'm going to put it somewhere in the middle as an A tier, and the reason why it's not going to be an S tier for me is because the constant bonus is kind of mid. Efficiency of your cabinet is nice. 10% is okay. You can stack a bunch of those modifiers on there and make it really, really good. But 10%, woof, it's not that great. And the penalty for reducing it all the way down is, well, kind of nothing, burger. So it's kind of nice to have at very, zero value. You don't have to worry about anything at that point. And the reason why is because all you're probably going to lose at most in any given situation is 0.5% from your estate satisfaction, which, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. That's not even a penalty. So again, this is a really powerful estate. This is a very powerful bureaucracy. It's not one that I would probably ignore if you're in a situation where you need to maximize your taxes. If that's the case, then maximize this out and get that 5%, baby. Get it fully entrenched. Go to 100% if you can, and then you will love it. It is that pretty darn good. And for that reason, and that reason alone, we're just going to copy and paste that here. Click on the tier list here. Click, boom. And we're going to move that to A tier. Why? Because it's worth it. It's boring, but it's worth it. Once more, we're going to be doing another controversial one, and the reason why this one's going to be controversial is because a lot of people are probably not going to agree with the actual power of this one, but for me, Imperial Senate is one of those low-key, very ultra-powerful bonuses that you get out there, and the reason why is because the Parliament base support can go all the way up to plus 20%. If you know anything about the Byzantines, you're going to have an early game where you're going to be completely broke, and I love Imperial Senate because it gives me so many chances to take that 50% tax-based bonus, which is huge, because you actually do get to take a little bit of money from the nobles. It's only for a year, but it's enough of a bonus that it actually keeps you alive in situations where you would completely die, and this is something that maintains its value throughout the entire game. You're always going to have a situation where you're going to probably want another fabricated claim on somebody, and getting it through the Parliament is the easiest way to do it, and you're guaranteed to get 1, maybe even 2, sometimes even 3 bonuses of lovely CBs on people through the Parliament just from this one action right here alone. If you get up to 100% entrenchment, it goes up to about 20% base support. That's including that's on top of your crown support and whatever support that you get from your estates. So that is huge. It's not just that though. For this bonus right here, this is low-key powerful. This one right here is low-key intensely powerful. And the reason why I say that is because if you happen to get the one that reduces your freaking inflation, you can have that for an extra 50% time duration. So if you have 180 days, we'll just say that for the Parliament, right? It goes up to 270 days. You get the tax base reduction for 270 days, which means you could run it at 100% minting and not take any inflation for an extra 90 days or an extra 50% duration, depending on the length of your actual Senate, of your Parliament. This is low-key ultra powerful. This is intensely powerful in the right hands. If you're somebody who doesn't care that much about parliaments, maybe this isn't so powerful, but for me, somebody who loves parliaments, this is godlike. Now, here comes the bad part. The cost. You're always going to be running it at 100%. The reason why is because even if you go down to 0%, if you run at 100 legitimacy, which most people who are playing the Byzantines are going to end up doing anyways, yeah, you're going to find yourself taking a major monthly legitimacy penalty, and you're not going to save any money. In fact, I think you lose money by reducing it. So you're always going to be running Imperial Senate at 100%. That is the cost that you pay to take this. That is just what you're going to have to put up with. It is annoying. Yes, you will never be able to reduce the cost. You cannot run it at very, very low. Otherwise, you're going to take a major penalty. I would suggest not doing that. But for me, personally, because of all of those parliament bonuses, because you could literally use it to stack yourself to get yourself immense length on the parliament. And if you get the the reducing inflation parliament, oh my god, it is ultra powerful in the early game. If you get lucky and you get that super duper early in the game as the Byzantines, you are effectively funding your entire empire, even if you're broke at the very beginning. I'm not kidding. It is that darn powerful. So for those reasons, and the fact that it stays powerful throughout the game, even if you're just using it to make free CBs on other people, yeah, that to me deserves an S tier. Here we go. This is one that will not be controversial to anybody. The Kephalai. This right here is probably the most powerful bureaucracy. And the reason why it's the most powerful is it literally gives you a local governor. That alone makes it godlike. But that is not all that you get when you play as the Kephalai. No. You get the wonderful, the exceptional +1 cabinet seat. That is intensely powerful. Holy crap, I can't believe they actually made a free bureaucracy like that. You can take this as your very first pick. You can get rid of one of the 4 starter bureaucracies that you start with and get the Kephalai right away. And that will allow you to make so much more money than you would otherwise just by putting a local governor down. I generally put my local governor down over here so I can maximize the amount of money I get from gold. I didn't do it on this playthrough, but I did in my secondary playthrough, and trust me, it is intensely powerful. The fact that you can have so many cabinet seats, you can get up to, I think, 6 cabinet seats if you do everything correctly. That is crazy. Now, when we're talking about the penalties, you're not going to care. These might as well not exist. You want to know why? Because the whole reason of you taking Kephalai is to have 100%. You want that governor. And by reducing it even 1%, you don't get the governor anymore. It goes to 0. So you're going to be running this at 100% all the time. There is never going to be a time where you're not running it at 100%. And if there is a time where you're not running it at 100%, I think you're crazy and you should have never taken this in the first place, even if it's just for the cabinet seat. And the reason why is because if you actually do reduce it, number one, you're going to run into a major issue with your prosperity, and that's never a good thing. You don't want to take a prosperity hit. In fact, you want the opposite. You want the prosperity bonuses, and you're probably going to be, putting this together with the lovely Allelengyon just so you can get the prosperity bonus. So don't take that hit. Don't ever reduce this at any point. You always want that local governor, because if you reduce it by 1 point, even 1%, and you lose that governor, and you have that governor built, yeah, the governor deletes itself. So never ever touch this. Put this at the very bottom and pretend it doesn't exist. Leave it at 100% forever. But for the sake of having the cabinet seat, for the sake of having the lovely local governor, I have no choice but to give this the ultimate S tier. This is the S tier among S tiers. There is no question in my mind. This deserves to be above them. This deserves to be like in the epic tier. It's the god tier. The god tier. This is the best of the best. There is nothing better than Kephalai. There is nothing better. Here's one that people are probably going to crucify me on for the pronunciation, but I'm going to try to say it anyways. Nomos Empsychos. I hope I got a little bit correct on it, but if I didn't, yeah, I'm sorry, guys. When it comes to Nomos Empsychos, it's pretty good at the early game. It is. I will give it credit. Plus 30% crown power at 100% entrenchment is actually pretty darn good. It can get really good in the early game, especially when you run into major issues with your early game crown power. It is really hard to balance out early game crown power. It's a bit of a nightmare. So yeah, I can see why people would take this in the early game. There's just one problem. The estate satisfaction equilibrium from legitimacy is bad. It's bad. I think that's what, like 0.25%? That's nothing. And at the same time, the satisfaction decay when you're at 0 is kind of bad. I don't actually like that one. That one hurts quite badly, especially if you're somebody like me who likes to deliberately boost up the clerics just so I can get some tech out of it. That drains it pretty much instantaneously, and it's a pain in the butt when that happens. I don't like this one particularly much beyond the super duper early game. I actually have it trailing off in the mid game, and by the late game it's just bad. I'm sorry. When it comes to crown power, you're going to have so much crown power coming out your yin-yang just from absolutism. Yeah, you don't need this bonus. This bonus just completely peters off at the end, and I'm not super duper bullish on this one as a result of that. I know, I'm very picky about those sorts of things, but that's just how I am, my friends. That's just how I am. We're going to copy and paste that, and as a result of that, we're going to put this all the way down in the weak situational pick. It's not a weak pick by any measure. It's not horrible or anything by any measure. But what I would say is it's an early game pick. This is one that you're going to want to have for like the first 50 to 100 years of the Byzantines. And then you're going to want to swap it out for something better in the late game. Generally, that'll be like the Kephalai or the Ritualistic court. And I'm sorry, the Nomos, Empsychos, yeah. Hopefully I got the pronunciation somewhat correct. I'm trying, okay? At least I'm trying, but when it comes to the actual abilities that come with this, yeah, I don't think it's trying. So it gets a C tier. Now, I just brought this one up, but we're going to be talking about the Ritualistic Court. Now, the Ritualistic Court is low-key extremely powerful in the mid to late game. And the number one reason why I say that is because of the speed of annexation bonus and the diplomatic reputation bonus. Those two alone make this god tier, S tier among S tiers, right up there with the Kephalai. This is one that I would suggest people pick almost every single time. And even if you're not like me, even if you don't make a bajillion little, podunk countries out there, which is something I like to do. I like my vassal swarm, okay? You're still probably going to get a little bit of use out of the speed of annexation eventually. There's always going to be a situation where you're going to be annexing somebody, and 15% is nothing to scoff at, especially when that goes all the way up to 30% at 100% entrenchment, and you get up to about +2 diplomatic reputation on top of that. The cultural influence is kind of okay. It's kind of like an extra bonus on top of things. It's a garnish. It's not something that you're going to go out of your way for, but it's a nice garnish. That's more prestige, effectively for free, and I like it. You want to know what else I like? The fact that you get cheaper legitimacy at 100%. It's going to reduce the cost overall. You can get all the way down to 0 costs with bonuses like this, especially for the fact that you're going to get this one no matter what, whether you're at 0% or 100% for it. This is actually kind of powerful to have as a constant modifier. Just having it alone gives you +10. That is really, really good. And then, of course, there's the equilibrium bonus or penalty. You're going to want to run this at 100% no matter what, just for the diplomatic reputation. That reduces your antagonism when you're going to war all the time. And when you're playing as the Byzantines, you're going to be at war all the time. That diplomatic reputation could be the difference between the Mamluks hitting you with a coalition and not hitting you with a coalition. So, Ritualistic Court, I don't know what to tell you people. I think it's God tier. I think it's God tier among God tiers. If you don't want to take it super duper early, I think you're crazy, but you should at the very least take it mid game. It is just one of those ones that is always, always, always helpful. Always. There is no situation where you're not going to want it. And for that reason alone, I always put this up in the S tier. This is right up there with Kephalai in the God tier. I should have made a God tier. Okay? Better than the meta. Here we go from God tier all the way down to God awful tier. We're going to be talking about the Romanitas, which, believe it or not, is not something that you start off with. No, no, no. You have to get to 50 Latinita social value, which is something that is given to you through the DLC, which is kind of hard to do. It's kind of difficult to get off the Romanismos. You will eventually want to do the Latinitas anyways, because it has some really, really good bonuses, especially since it gives you an innovative bonus on top of things, which is kind of nice. But here's the problem. There's just one problem. The Romanitas, as a bureaucracy, is junk. It's pure bad. The best thing you get out of it is the speed of integration, which is +20% with 100% entrenchment, which is bad. It's baffling how bad it is. Even when you have 6 cabinet seats, they think that a plus 20% speed of integration is worth the time. No, it just isn't, okay? There is no situation where I could ever find this to be particularly good. And on top of that, the other bonus that you get is plus 20 monthly prestige. It's all right. The only time I really give a crap about my prestige that much is when I have the Columbian exchange going. And even then, by that point, you're going to have so many prestige bonuses, you don't really need this bonus. So, yeah, that's nothing. That is literally nothing. But on top of all of these problems, the fact that these bonuses are pretty much nothing burgers, you cannot reduce down to 0. You want to know why? Because if you reduce down to 0, you're going to take a lovely 20% antagonism and a lovely -1 diplomatic reputation, which can go all the way up to -2 reputation and -40% antagonism received. You are literally making yourself public enemy number 1 just by reducing it a little bit. There is no point to this bureaucracy. There is no value to it. I condemn this one. This one isn't just bad. This one is nightmarishly bad. This one deserves F tier. There is nothing out there that deserves F tier more than the Romanita. And frankly, you can't change my mind on it. Okay, now we're going to be talking about one that is actually kind of powerful and it gives you a myriad of bonuses. What type of bonuses though? Military bonuses. We're going to be talking about Strategarchia, which is one that is only unlocked if you manage to reform the Byzantine army through an event after about 1400 in the game. It is an event that you're going to be looking for probably on EU database at that point. It is kind of hard to do, but not really that impossible. But the bonuses that you get from it are well worth getting. And the reason why I say that to people is because it actually makes you really difficult to take down. It turns your podunk peasant armies into actual elite trained units, and it is beautiful. Plus 0.20 military taxes is really nice. The beautiful plus 25 general ability for your generals and admirals, gorgeous. And that goes all the way up to plus 50 and plus 0.4 just if you get 100% entrenchment. But that's not all. Oh, no. But wait, there's more. Monthly Army Tradition plus 0.2 and monthly Navy Tradition plus 0.2. That is insane, the amount of bonuses you get from that. Yes, it's all geared toward your military, and you could probably make the argument that, oh, well, military is really easy to get a bunch of bonuses on anyways, but I don't agree. I think it's actually kind of hard to get a bunch of bonuses on your military. I think the extra military bonuses are something that you're probably going to be wanting to get, especially if you're playing multiplayer. If you're playing multiplayer and you're not going to take Strategarchia, you're probably a little crazy. I'm sorry, people. I think it might be S tier for multiplayer. But we're not really talking about multiplayer here. We're talking about single player, and we're talking about the AI. And the AI is not exactly the king of the king when it comes to actual military warfare. So let's talk about the penalties, though. Now, this is going to be another one that you're going to want to run at 100%. And the reason why is because the penalties are kind of nasty. Okay, the monthly legitimacy penalty will cause it to, you're not going to save any money. If you go to 100%, it's going to cost you 6.5. That is how much you're probably saving by not taking a minus 20 legitimacy when you're at 100 legitimacy already. Okay? And at the same time, you're giving the nobles a 50% power boost, which is not good, especially in the early game. Although you're not going to get this in the early game. You're going to have to wait until after 1400 to even get access to this. But when you do, I suggest getting it. Now, here's the catch. I am grading this based off a single player. I'm not grading this based off a multiplayer. If this is multiplayer, this is S tier. There's no question. If we're talking about multiplayer, this is 155% an S tier. I have no doubt in my mind, for multiplayer, you should always take this. Unfortunately, because we're talking about the AI, yeah, I'm sorry, this is going to get an A tier. But only for single player. Only for single player. In fact, I might put a second one up here, okay, right? And I might actually put a lovely little addendum on there saying that for single player, Strategarchia is A tier. For multiplayer, Strategarchia is S tier. Alright, here comes another one, and this one is probably going to be different based off of whether or not it's single player or multiplayer again, and the reason why I say that is because the fort defense bonus can really make or break you in a multiplayer game, but in a single player game, this is junk. I'm sorry, people, it is. At the same time, in a multiplayer game, you're going to want to probably maximize the amount of levies that you have at all times, including your manpower, although manpower is kind of like a free resource in this game. You can effectively just maximize manpower without just, using your money and just having a lot of states, and that is something that is not hard to do. But here's the thing. In single player, fort defense is useless. I'm sorry, I don't care about my fort defense. It's not like they're going to take my capital, okay? The AI is not beelining for my capital, unlike a multiplayer guy is. So who cares about fort defense? It is a non-factor bonus. In multiplayer, when they are beelining for your darn capital to end the war as fast as humanly possible, or when they're they're swarming a certain zone and they're trying to take it as quickly as possible so they can peace out on you forcefully, yeah, this one does matter, and I don't know. I'm gonna end up treating this one like Strategarchia, and the reason why I'm doing that is because, again, for single player, this one's bad. It's just kind of bad. I wish I could give you a better rating for it, but it's just, in the early game, levies do definitely matter. There's no question about that, especially as the Byzantines. You're going to run into some severe issues getting a bunch of lovely levies out, maybe 20,000, 30,000 here or there at the early points, but in the midpoint of the game, when you start cycling off of levies onto regulars, you're never going to run out of manpower, and then that bonus becomes completely worthless to you. So, non-factor bonus at the midpoint of the game. It goes from A tier to D tier at that point. When it comes to the penalties, yeah, you're never going to want to reduce this one down. And the reason why is because you don't want to increase the power of the nobles, ever. You don't want to do that. The Byzantines cannot afford to let the nobles get powerful, and any bonus that helps the nobles out is a bad bonus. The levy recovery is kind of nightmarish too, but that's only at the early point of the game. Once you're off of the levies anyways, or once you're using mercs for everything, that's, again, a non-factor. But what makes this one shine for multiplayer is obviously, you could stack up your defense bonuses on your capital and make it almost impenetrable, and then slow down the war to a trickle so that you can actually defeat somebody. I would say this is a... Is it better than Strategarchia? Gosh, no. Is it on par with it? Gosh, no. I would say... This one's hard. This one's actually difficult for me. I'm going to say, for Themata, I'm going to put it as a B tier. It's a strong situational pick for multiplayer. Okay? It is a strong situational pick for multiplayer. But, at the same time, people, I'm going to have to say it is a weak pick for single player. And I mean weak pick. So here we go. We're going to put MP up here, and down here we're going to say SP. So hopefully that differentiates it enough for the people out there so that they don't get angry at me for just making, that kind of decision. But again, I just don't see this one being particularly good for single player people. And you know what? Multiplayer people might even ignore this one too. Fort defense is nice to have. And if you stack it up, you can actually make yourself really chunky. You could literally cover your entire borders with nothing but forts everywhere you go and just become, impossible to invade. But that's going to cost you a lot of money. It's going to be hard to set up. A lot of people won't let you get a chance to set up like that. It depends on the situation. That's why I'm going to call this a situational pick. A strong multiplayer situational pick. Alright, people, that's going to be it for this tier list. It kind of dragged on a little bit. I tried to make it a heck of a lot quicker than my usual tier list, but dang, I have a nasty tendency to rant a little too much. But I hope this gives you an idea of what you should be looking for your bureaucracies when you're playing as the Byzantines. Beyond that, there are a few things about this that I think people are going to disagree with, particularly about the position of probably the court eunuchs. They might think it might be a little too strong. It might be probably deserved down to be down in the D tier. At the same time, when it comes to Themata, maybe I gave that a little too high of a bonus here. It should be down in C tier at worst, or at best. depending on how you look at things. But I'm probably not going to listen to people when it comes to these S tiers. I am firmly entrenched in these 5 S tiers. When it comes to Strategarchia, I think it is the ultimate one for the Byzantines. It makes your army so untenably powerful that other people are going to struggle against it. When it comes to Ritualistic Court, it is bonkers good. The speed of annexation is more viable than you think it is, especially when you're like me and you have a tendency to run your value at 100% decentralization, which causes the speed of annexation to be at minus 33%. With the Ritualistic Court bonus at 100% entrenchment, you're going to be all the way down to 3% for the speed of annexation penalty, which is really powerful. For Kephalai, I mean, come on. A local governor, yeah, you're always going to want that. Imperial state, you're probably always going to want that parliament bonus. It's literally free parliamentary CBs, okay? And Allelengyon, I mean, that one is just prosperity. So maybe Allelengyon could probably go down to A tier. Maybe. That depends on your purview, on your outlook. But for everything else, I think I kind of got a good idea what's going on here with these lovely little bureaucracies. I hope you guys agree, but if you don't, I mean, make sure to let me know in the comments below. Maybe the meta is going to change over time. Maybe I'm missing out here. There might be a few bureaucracies I haven't actually seen yet. I don't know if there are any other bureaucracies out there for the Byzantines. If there are, let me know. I might have to update this video. But I've only played through the Byzantines for about 250 years so far. I haven't done an entire run yet. I haven't had the time to do an entire run yet. I'm sorry, people. I wish I did. But again, based off of what I've seen, this is my tier list for the bureaucracies. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Here, I'll even give you my lovely little spreadsheet. I'll do you guys a lovely little solid, the same as like Generalist does. It should give you an idea. What the 0 means is what happens when you zero out the value of the maintenance, and whether or not I think it's a good 0 or a bad 0. When it comes to early, mid, late, and final, I mean, that should be pretty obvious. Early game, mid game, late game, and then the final, the tally of what I think it actually deserves to be. And yeah, there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed.